Welcome to the Vibrant Life podcast. This is the official podcast of the Vibrant Life community. I'm Sarah Nolan, a burnout prevention and energetic management consultant, and I'm here with Stephen Arnold, who I'm so glad to have Stephen on our call today. He is a health and nutrition specialist, and he works with high performers to get them optimal health and performance. And Stephen earned his reputation by working with bikini and sports models. And now he brings all of that experience and knowledge and wisdom. And he brings this model into the corporate world, which is really interesting. And I see this as a huge trend with corporate, where it's like people are wanting to move in that direction, but I don't see a lot of people like you in that picture. So Stephen, welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, you're welcome. And how did you make that transition, and what was your inspiration for working in bringing health and fitness to corporate?
So I think as a young athlete, I naturally was drawn towards other athletes. So that's how I started off in health and fitness. I was an aspiring bodybuilder. I was a semi-professional football player. So that was the people I attracted. And that was the people I worked with. And we did that to a very high standard. We coached clients to 21 international titles in natural sports and fitness modeling. So I don't think there's anybody in the world that's actually done that better than me. And then as I sort of grew and developed as a person, I naturally moved away from being predominantly an athlete and moved more into a business owner. As my investment properties portfolio started growing, as my business started growing, I was more of a corporate athlete, and I moved away from being that predominant athlete. And then obviously I saw the benefits that health and fitness were giving me in my career, and I sort of started putting that out into the world, and then started shifting my attention towards helping people that were at corporate, working in the corporate world, and helping them to be healthier, more energetic and more focused. So that's how the transition come about. And now I'm very passionate about helping people perform at the highest level possible.
And what did you notice when you started working in that corporate environment? What did you notice about their performance when
we work with athletes, you'd look at this and you'd say, you're still in the health and fitness industry. It's just small changes, right? Mm-hmm. It was a complete 180-degree shift. It was a whole new different skill set. So working with athletes, the hard part was getting them to be able to afford the services. Mm-hmm. And as soon as they could afford the services, they would then stay with us long term. And our job was to give them the highest, most detailed, specific instructions for them to follow. That's what they needed, daily attention. So they wanted everything to be perfect. And then as we shift to corporate, it was a completely different skill set, it was like a different career. So all of a sudden, these guys have got the money, they'll pay up front. But the hard part for us was getting them to take action. Mm-hmm. Getting them to do stuff that we're asking them to do. That was the biggest shift. So it's now the finer details don't matter, because they're not at the ceiling of their physical potential. This isn't the things that make a difference for them. For us, it's about getting people to take action and start taking small steps forward.
And so what kinds of things do you have people doing? Like, what kinds of actions are these people taking to increase their performance?
So I don't know how sciencey you want me to get today, but basically what we see is as people become successful, they start sacrificing things. Things have to get put on the side. And what we see is people will sacrifice their health. That's the first thing that gets put on the shelf. It's like, just stay over there. I'm going to go over here and do this thing. And hopefully you're still there when I come back. Might be 30 years or so, but I will come back for you. I'm just over here focusing on this, right? And what happens is people sacrifice their health. And as a result of this, they don't realize but their brain suffers as well. It's not just their body. So the micronutrients that we get from good, wholesome foods, good, wholesome, seasonal, fresh, organic foods, these fuel our cognitive brainwaves, our cognitive function as well. So if we're putting our health on hold, we're also sacrificing the decision-making ability, our behavior, our mood. These all affect our work life as well. And I don't think people realize this. So I love this and I'm big on this. And if you look at my Facebook page, there's studies all throughout my page of saying the benefits that health have on decision-making abilities. And one of the studies I put up last week actually showed a direct and clear correlation. The more money and the more time you spend on your health had a direct correlation to the amount of money that you earn. So obviously there's exceptions to the rules, but if you want to have your highest earning potential, the best thing you can do is focus on your health, because it has a direct impact on your earning potential.
And there's even a spiritual element to that as well, where it's like, you know, your body's sacred. And when you invest into your body as this, you know, you can't do anything without your body. You can't function at your highest level without your body. So when you put more into that, your body serves you, and this is maybe a little woo-woo for some people, but it's like the universe supports you when you do that.
100%. Every single thing within human physiology and human psychology is tightly interlinked. It's all 100% linked to each other. The food that we eat, the energy that we put out, the energy that we receive, the love we put out, the love we receive, it's all interlinked. And you said, oh, it might be a bit woo-woo. It's only a bit woo-woo because we don't understand it. The science on human physiology, nutrition and health is all so new. We do not even know the tip of the iceberg. There's 5 things that we know for sure in human physiology that are true. The rest, we don't even understand the full complications of it all. We don't understand how the gut interacts with the brain. We don't understand the universe. We don't understand these things fully. So when we say it's a bit woo-woo, it's just because we don't have an in-depth understanding of it. But what we do know is everything is fully interlinked, from your gut health to your cognitive function to the universal energy. It's all interlinked 100%. We just don't understand to what extent yet. So in 100 years, we may know. In 1,000 years, we may know, we may not. But it is 100% all interlinked, from gut health to cognitive function to universal energy. The more love, energy, respect that you can put into your body, you're going to put out. And that's in cognitive, good decision-making, behavioral, mood. Everything that we do is 100% interlinked. There's no doubt about that. If you eat rubbish and you sleep rubbish, you're going to put rubbish out.
Exactly. And you know, for people who are watching and listening, think about the messages that you're telling yourself when you treat your body poorly. I mean, that's like saying, I don't care about you, I don't respect you, you're not worth it, you don't deserve it. Those are the messages that those behaviors are telling yourself, and that just resonates out into everything.
When I first got into running my own business, I was buying into all these things that you see on social media. You know, sleep faster, sleep when you're dead. And I was like, yeah. There's so much merit in working hard. I'm going to do 17-hour days. Don't worry about that. You know, I'll get by. I'll make do. I'm hard. I'm a man. But it cost me more money. It cost me more money. So like sleeping less and trying to grind through the 9 to 4 grind. I was like, I don't do 9 to 5. I do 5 till 9. And what happened was it just cost me more money, because I'd miss opportunities. I'd miss deals. I'd miss deadlines. I'd forget to renew my insurance and get put onto a higher premium. Forgot to renew because I was too busy. I was rushing. I wasn't thinking clearly. All of that is complete. It's a badge of honor, but it's a terrible badge that you don't want. What you want is, I am the healthiest, freshest, clearest, optimalist functioning version of myself. And when I go to work, I know that I'm clear. I'm clear in my thought. I'm high in energy, and I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm true to myself, and what I do is right. Every day I go to work and I'm at optimal performance, optimal decision-making ability. And as a result of that, I achieve my goals.
Love it.
What I see a lot of is entrepreneurs will have these 3 glasses in front of them. We all have these 3 glasses in front of us every single day. And we have a 1 litre jug of water. And it's our responsibility for that day to share the water out between the 3 glasses. So 1 glass is for our relationships, 1 is for our health, and 1 is for our business. And what we see is entrepreneurs will go 1 litre all in the work cup. Don't worry about the rest. And what happens is this causes consequences and dramas. So I can tell you firsthand, if you don't put enough water in that relationship cup, that's going to come back and bite you on the and it's going to cost you time, it's going to cost you money, it's going to cost you stress. When you're stressed, tired, and spending money dealing with a broken relationship, you're not going to make any money. You're not going to do anything productive. So as an entrepreneur, it's okay that we put a little bit more water in our work cup sometimes, but some days we need to go, okay, I've been putting more water in that work cup for the last 5 weeks. Now I'm going to take a little bit of time out. I'm going to put a little bit more in my health and a little bit more in my relationship cup for the next 2 to 3 days or the next week. We don't need to have perfect proportions. That's perfect balance. And that's hard to achieve. That's what we should all be aiming for. In an ideal world, that's what we want. But it's our responsibility to understand that we may go through periods where we put more in one cup than the other, but throughout the course of the 12-month period, we want to have as even a distribution as possible. And that's something that I was victim to. I put too much into my work cup every day, neglected the other 2. And that's what I see my clients doing as well. They pour too much into their work cup and forget the others. You can still put some in. And another thing that we see of entrepreneurs as well, I haven't got time to be perfect with my nutrition and perfect with my training. So forget it. I can't do it. I'm failing. I can't do that. It's not for me. I'm too busy to be healthy and fit. And I'm like, hang on a minute. Have you just forgot what's happened in the last 10 years? You're not 25 anymore. You can't live like that 25-year-old athlete that you were. You've now had 2 kids, you've grown a business, you're working double the hours, you've got a mortgage, you've got a wife. You can't do what you were doing 10 years ago. So don't set those expectations upon yourself. Health and fitness isn't about being perfect. It's not about being that 25-year-old athlete. Health and fitness is about just being better than you were yesterday. Just doing something, doing a little bit, taking 1 step forward. And that is enough to get results. Perfection gets results, but progress is the catalyst to results. So instead of trying to be perfect and thinking about being perfect and planning to be perfect, just plan to be slightly better than you were last week. How can I be 1 bit better? How can I be 1 bit healthier? And if we can aim to do that, then we are going to achieve a better standard of health. All you have to do is take 1 extra step or eat 1 less McDonald's, or just do something that's slightly better than the week before. And that's enough to start getting results. And what we see through the science, what we see through the literature, the more active you are and the healthier you are, the better your cognitive function is, the better your decision-making ability is, the better your mood regulation is. And as a result, the better your business is going to do. The best thing you can do for your business is be healthy and fit, because it has a direct correlation to the success of your business, your earning potential, and the decisions that you make within your business every single day. So in a study paper that I was reading yesterday, we saw obese people that were sedentary, and even when we had obese people that were active, the cognitive improvements were drastic. They were huge just from being active. Even though this person was still overweight and they were still unhealthy, they were still getting better cognitive function than the obese sedentary person.
You know, that's a great, I'm so glad that you brought that up, Stephen, because even though, you know, people like to see the results, they like to see it on their body, on the scale.
That drives me absolutely crazy, because
Yeah.
we see someone that's abused their health for 10 years to become successful.
Mm-hmm.
And then they decide, I want to be healthy and fit. They think they're going to turn it all around in a week.
Right.
Oh, this isn't working for me. Mate, it's been a week. And I get people like, I've lost 4 kilos, but I feel like I'm failing. I'm really sorry I'm letting you down. I'm not getting to the gym 5 times a week. I'm only getting there 3. And I'm like, that's perfect. That's absolutely perfect. You've lost 4 kilos. What makes you think you need to get to the gym 5 times a week? You're doing enough. You've lost 4 kilos. That's amazing. Like, don't try to be perfect. You just have to just make changes. And the thing is, when you do make small changes, this is what lasts forever, because it's sustainable and easy for you to do. When we try to do a 180 turn and lose 10 kilos in 10 days, what happens is you get fast results, but you go backwards fast as well. It's unsustainable. You can't sustain it. And what we see is in the corporate world, we see what we call binge and starvation cycles.
Yeah.
So people will go really, really good. They'll be 100% to a diet for a short period of time, can't stick to it. It's not sustainable. Then they have a big crash. Then they go again, 100% perfect, big crash. Now, human behavior dictates that these cycles will occur. And we see them happen in threes. It's either like 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months, or 3-year cycles. And we have to identify where we are within these, what our cycles are as humans. Not everybody, obviously, because there's people like myself, have worked on these cycles, and now we're out of the cycles. So mine used to be like 3-month cycles. I'll be perfect and then I drop off. And what we see is corporate athletes or people that work in the corporate industry will look at their cycles, and go, I need to be better for longer. I'm going to be better for longer. And what happens? They just exaggerate their cycles. They go better for longer, worse for longer. And they get bigger and bigger and bigger until they get to the point where they come to me. And what most health professionals do, and what people try to do on their own, they try to improve the better days. And this is something that Nick taught me in business, and we apply it to health and fitness as well. Instead of trying to improve your better days, instead of making them better and for longer, just make your worst days less frequent, less bad. Just bring your flaws up. And what happens is, naturally, we squeeze these cycles, and eventually we end up with a path of linear progression. We ease the cycles out, and it's far more effective long term to do this than to try to be perfect for longer. Because we just end up with bigger cycles.
What I'm seeing right now is a huge trend in America. I don't know how it is in Australia, but I feel like every day I'm seeing people talking about fasting. And I used to be anorexic when I was a kid. And I'm like, are you fasting or are you just starving yourself? Like what, where's the...
It's like what, when people develop poor nutritional habits. So if someone's overweight because they eat poorly, they have a poor nutritional habits, or they have a poor relationship with food, fasting will provide results because it's moving away from what's terrible. They're moving away from what's terrible towards something that's slightly better. So by fasting, you're just reducing the amount of hours that you eat in. So this means you have less opportunity to overeat. But 3,000 calories per day is still 3,000 calories per day, regardless of what hours you eat them in. So if my first meal is at 5 a.m., my last meal is at 9 p.m., the total amount of energy that I eat or consume is still the same throughout 24 hours, whether I eat that between 5 and 9, or whether I eat that between 10 and 9. Now, what intermittent fasting does, it just reduces the hours that you can eat. So therefore, we're hoping that instead of eating 3,000 calories, I have less time to overeat, and now I'm only eating 2,800. But it's not the timing that dictates body weight. It's the total calories consumed. The timing at which you consume these calories has no significance on weight whatsoever. So whether I eat 3,000 calories over 9 hours, or whether I eat 3,000 calories in a 5-hour window, it's still 3,000 calories, and it's total calories that determine body weight. Now, the only way that intermittent fasting works and why people follow it is because, well, I'm just missing breakfast. So now I'm just eating a little bit less. It's going from something that's bad to something that's slightly better, but it's still not right. It still builds a poor relationship with food, because now you're associating starvation with weight loss and results. So what do people do? I just won't eat. I'll extend my fasting window. I'll do a whole day fast. I'm going to do a 7-day fast. And now we're creating this whole new world of poor relationships, emotional eating. Like, this makes the situation worse. What we should be doing is looking at nutrition as nourishment. That's where it comes from. Nutrition is meant for nourishment. We should be looking at food as our savior and enjoying these moments. Food should come with fun and enjoyment and love. When we're children, we get breastfed and we're close to the bosom. And that's a loving, tender experience that we share with our parents. And even if we're not breastfeeding, we're still held in that position. There's a lot of love, eye contact. And that's what food should be. And we're creating this world of emotional eaters. And emotional eating is actually the biggest problem that we see in health and fitness nowadays. It's not lack of motivation or lack of will. It's emotional eating. People eat because they're emotionally sad or to make them feel better. And things like fasting contribute towards that. The people that say fasting is the solution to weight management do not have even the slightest understanding of human physiology, and they don't have the slightest understanding of human behavior. Now, there are slight benefits to intermittent fasting, but again, only when moving away from an inadequate nutritional strategy in the first place. Now, we don't know the actual benefits, like on a cognitive level, to intermittent fasting, but when I look at the literature, I can only see benefits to intermittent fasting when we're moving away from an inadequate nutritional strategy in the first place. And the same with any nutritional strategy. Anything like keto, carnivore, medieval diet, Atkins diet, all of these nutritional strategies are just moving people away from a terrible nutrition into slightly better. But if we can look at nutrition as a wholesome, seasonal, fresh, locally grown factor or genre that we share with love and sit down and share these feelings and times with people, then it becomes a massively positive thing. And it can enhance our lives. Nutrition and food should enhance our life, not control it.
Exactly. Yeah. And I love that you're talking about the way that we eat as well, eating with other people. And this is just making me think about the fact that when you're interacting with another person, there are all of these like love hormones that are released, especially when you're making eye contact and it's people that you care about, you're having conversation, you're laughing, all of these positive hormones are firing off in your body. And all of a sudden the stress is released and you don't have that emotional need to overeat because you're fulfilling yourself emotionally from just a social interaction.
Yeah, and that's right. There's so many good scientific points there as well as spiritual. And I'm so passionate, I just got to jump in. So
yeah.
I remember being as a kid, we'd go around to my great grandparents, and my great grandmother would be in the kitchen preparing food. We'd be sitting in the dining room, and we could smell it. We could smell it and anticipate this food that was coming. And this is part of the digestive phase. This actually accounts for 7% of total digestion. Is in the preparation of eating. So our body smells this, and we start to produce. We get I think it's pepsin gets released from the gastric gland inside the stomach, and starts preparing the stomach for pepsin combines with pepsinogen to make HCl. And we can start breaking and digesting foods correctly. We start salivating in our mouth. The amylase in our saliva start getting produced. And then when we eat, we're in a good state of rest, digest. Now, fast forward 30 years to 2020, what are we all doing? Yeah, quick, I'll grab a bagel and a coffee. Yep, sweet. Yeah, cool. I've got to go. I've got to rush. I've got a meeting. eating on the way, brushing your lips off just as you walk into the meeting, you've just missed out 7% of the whole digestive process. So on a digestive level, our body isn't prepared to break down the food. Now, we've eaten poor nutrient-dense foods anyway, so we have no vitamins and minerals to support cognitive function in the meeting, so we can't concentrate and make decisions, but also we haven't digested those foods. They get into the small intestines, they go through the villi, they break down the gut lining wall called cracks and gaps, then we get antibodies and bacteria into our bloodstream, cause it autoimmune disease, autoimmune issues, we get inflammation, we get swelling, bloating, discomfort. You're now sat in the meeting, cognitively you're suboptimal, physically you're suboptimal, you're in pain, you just want to go home like that, no energy. So if there's that on the digestive front, and also it is that sitting down and connecting with people. We just don't do it nowadays. Like even last night when I was sat having a meal with my girlfriend, the last meal of the day, we sat there and she was on her phone. Yeah, it's a crazy world that we live in nowadays, but human nature will always push for evolution, will always push for progress. And just sadly, as a result of that progress, we are in this fast-paced, instant gratification world now. And our health is taking a whack for that. And that's physical and mental health.
Yes, and I think that makes a great point for, especially with entrepreneurs who are looking to achieve and perform at higher levels, is it's counterintuitive for a lot of people, but just slowing it down, and how you can get more done when you take it slower, because like you said, everything is connected. When you go slower, you have the time to eat mindfully and as well as think more clearly. It's like all plays in with each other.
Yeah, that's right. Like meditation's, like I call it, like, our superpower. You can take the time to meditate and have clarity of thought. It is a fast-paced world that we live in nowadays. Taking time to just slow down, relax, and take some time for yourself and your relationships, it does make a big difference to the overall picture.
Absolutely.
There's speed and there's haste.
Now, Stephen, for the people who are watching and listening here, who, maybe they're really inspired now after listening to you talk about the importance and the benefits of really paying attention to their bodies more and getting into shape physically and nutritionally. Say somebody has, put this off for a decade. What are the first 3 steps that they can do right now to just start making some progress?
The first step is just to start planning. So plan to be better. So what we see, we did touch on it earlier, was people try to have a 180 U-turn, and they can't do that. It's not sustainable. So plan to be one bit better. So whether you do your weekly review at work or whether you sit down on a Sunday morning, just plan ahead. What am I going to do next week to be one bit better than I was health and fitness wise than last week? When am I going to go for a walk? When am I going to go to the gym? Am I going to plan and prepare my food? Just plan how you're going to be better. Just like treat your body like you treat your business. So plan to be better. One is make it enjoyable. People think that they need to go to the gym and do the stuff they don't want to do, eat the foods that they don't like. Ugh, I hate celery juice, but I need it to be healthy. Make it enjoyable. If you can enjoy it, you're going to stick to it. You don't need to go to the gym. Go and play sport. Go and ride your bike. And 3, I would say meditate.
Awesome. Yeah.
But I think that the most important thing to say to any corporate athlete is, you're not 25 anymore. You're 35, 45, whatever you are. So don't try to live the way that you did 10 years ago. Your expectations and strategy need to be different. They need to reflect that. And just take small steps to move forward. You're never going to do a 180 U-turn, and you don't need to. progression is a catalyst for adaptation. If there's some progress, if there's some progression, you'll see adaptation, you'll see changes.
You know, one of my favorite things that you mentioned in this episode, Stephen, is when you were talking about somebody who is, starting after putting their health off for 10 years, and maybe they're really overweight and unhealthy. But even on that first day of working out and eating healthy, they're going to have better cognitive function than the day before. Even though they're still overweight, they're still unhealthy, but just because they move their body, they're going to be making cognitive progress.
It's in the science.
Yeah.
It's not me telling you like it won't happen. Like it will. It's in the literature. And another thing that's really important as well is not to gauge your progress by one proxy measure. So a lot of people will gauge their progress by the scales. The scales didn't move this week. I haven't made any results. I haven't moved forward. And this is especially true for female because you go through a lot of weight fluctuations with your menstrual cycle. So you gauge your success on a number of proxy measures. How do your clothes fit? What are your friends saying? How much energy do you have in the morning? How much energy do you have at night? How much energy do you have during the day? What's your digestion like? How's your nutrition been? How's your exercise, movement, mood, happiness? How's your sex drive been? Use all of these proxy measures to get a better gauge of success, because one proxy measure won't give you an absolute answer. And too many people place their worth or their success on one aspect. And that's crazy to do that because there's so many facets to health and fitness. If you're it's just like saying to yourself, I'm going to gauge my business success on how many employees I have. I'm going to gauge my business success on how many complaints we don't have. Like you would never, ever base your business success off one measure. You base it off a number of factors. And it's the same with health and fitness as well.
That's great. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. Do you have any resources that you can share with our people today?
Yeah, so I have loads of blogs about health and fitness on my website.
Okay. And what's your website?
It's www.teambodyproof.com.au.
teambodyproof.com.au.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And you can find us on social media as well. It's just Stephen Arnold. Stephen's Stephen. Stephen Arnold.
Okay. That sounds great. So if somebody wants to reach out to you, what's the best place to do that? What's the best way to do that?
Probably Facebook.
Okay.
I'm active on Facebook every day. Or just go to the website, and on the website there's a link to my booking schedule, and you can just book a call. I'm always happy to talk and help people. I'm very passionate about health and fitness. If you know me, you'll know my story and know why I'm passionate about it. But I believe that everybody on this planet should look and feel the way that they want. That's our right as human beings, and I feel that society has taken us away from that. As a health professional, I see it as my job to give that back to people.
Now, can you give us just a little summary of your story, of your background, so we have even more perspective on this?
Yeah, so as a young lad, I was an aspiring football player. I spent my whole life playing football, and we had a really great community of young lads. And when we were early 20s, one of those lads died of leukemia. So that was my first experience of poor health. And even though that was totally regardless of what he did with his health and fitness, that was just my first experience to the negative side of the health world. And then my granddad, who was a big mentor of mine and a great friend of mine, he was diabetic, and diabetes led to Alzheimer's and prostate cancer. So to see my hero fall to poor health in the way that he did through Alzheimer's was completely heartbreaking. And that was probably the last brick in the wall for me. After that, it was like, I don't want this to happen to me or to anyone else that I know. how do we avoid this?
Mm.
And then I started getting into health and fitness, helping people play football better, helping people avoid these illnesses as they get on later in life. And then it just went from there, really.
That's really powerful to see, you know, how far it can go. Oops.
It's just like, you know, he did the stereotypical corporate thing. You know, he was working long hours, working away in the industrial industry in England, in the Midlands. It's just a hard world that he lived in, and you know, he sacrificed his health and his happiness to earn money and provide for his family. And you know, by the time that he died, he'd left it, you know, as a nice little chest of money there for everybody. But that was the last thing that we all needed. We made our own money. We just wanted our granddad back. But you know, he'd sacrificed all that for nothing.
Yeah, yeah. And it really comes back to, you know, body, mind, spirit. And, you know, it doesn't work. It's not a complete picture when you're making sacrifices. We're not meant to make these sacrifices. There can be exchanges. There can be, there can be like maneuvering, but we're not meant to sacrifice. And that's when everything falls apart. I'm just thinking about in my personal experience, it seems like the people who made the most money had the worst relationships and the worst health. And it doesn't have to be like that. And there are plenty of examples of people who, you know, don't have that challenge.
Yeah, it tends to be that people that are very successful, they do tend to have come from, there does tend to have been some trauma at some point, which propels them into success. But that doesn't mean that that's the only way or the best way. It's just a way. And unfortunately for them, you know, they've had to experience trauma. Like Tony Robbins is a prime example of this.
Right.
But you know, he went through a lot of trauma, but he now has balance. He has perfect balance in his life. He has great relationships, great health, and great business. We don't need to follow their example and their path. It's not the only way. It's not the way. It's just a way. And if we have a choice, we should never choose that path. We should choose the path of balance, because suffering and sacrifice, it comes at a cost. And that's what I always say. Health and fitness should never be about suffering and sacrifice. It should be a result of happiness and balance, enjoyment.
Oh, I love this so much. And so I would really encourage you all to reach out to Stephen wherever you are in your fitness journey. I think he's got a lot of wisdom and knowledge and ways to help you with wherever you are in this process, to just bring it to the next level. And it sounds to me like it's not just going to help their fitness. It's going to really help everything, relationships, and you know, of course, with business and all of that. So reach out to him at you know, on Facebook, Stephen Arnold, or go to his website, teambodyproof.com/au. And we're going to put that link in the notes as well. So thank you so much, Stephen, for being here. It's been a pleasure and an honor to have you on.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that's where I get a bit carried away. I'm just so passionate about it. I love it. I could talk about it all day.
Oh, it was
I really
awesome.
appreciate you
it's so perfect.
Listening to me.
Yeah, thank you so much. All right,
everybody,
have a wonderful rest of your day, and we will talk soon.